too long and I'm lost without you.
The haunting refrain from Aaliyah's hit song, Miss You, still echoes like a whispered goodbye long after the world was forced to let her go. A voice so ethereal, a presence so cool yet so warm, Aaliyah wasn't just ahead of her time, she was on her own timeline. She moved like a shadow in the spotlight, soft-spoken but commanding. And just as the world leaned in to truly listen, everything changed. There's a reason why, even decades later, fans still ask, what really happened to Aaliyah? How did someone so young, so gifted, so influential disappear in a moment and yet never fade away? From her rise as a prodigious teenager to her reign as the princess of R&B, Aaliyah's story is a blend of beauty, heartbreak, resilience, and rhythm. And behind the sleek vocals and choreographed perfection was a young woman navigating love, pressure, betrayal, and destiny. This is the story of Aaliyah Dana Houghton, the girl who turned whispers into legends. If you love uncovering the real stories behind the voices that shaped music history, hit that subscribe button and join us here on RetroWaves, where legends live on. Before she was Baby Girl, she was just Aaliyah Dana Houghton, born on January 16, 1979, in Brooklyn, New York. But it wasn't long before her family moved to Detroit, Michigan, where her story truly began to take shape. From a young age, Aaliyah's world was filled with music. Her mother, Diane, was a vocalist, and her uncle, Barry Hankerson, would later become a powerful figure in the music industry. But even with those family ties, it wasn't connections that set Aaliyah apart. It was that voice, pure, smooth, timeless. Her name, which means the highest, most exalted one in Arabic, seemed to carry a quiet prophecy. At just 10 years old, Aaliyah appeared on Star Search, belting out soul classics with a confidence that betrayed her age. But even before that, she was performing alongside none other than her aunt, Gladys Knight, during Las Vegas shows. That experience at such a formative time helped shape the poised performer the world would later see. In Detroit, she attended a performing arts high school where she honed her skills in acting, singing, and dance. Her classmates recall her as kind but private, someone who kept her circle small but her ambition big. She wasn't the loudest in the room, but she always had something to say through her art. From the beginning, Aaliyah had this mystique, a quiet intensity. She was that rare mix of humility and star power, the kind of artist who didn't chase the spotlight but somehow always found herself right in the center of it. And it wasn't long before that spotlight began to burn a little brighter. Aaliyah's first major break came when she signed with Jive Records at just 12 years old, thanks in part to her uncle Barry Hankerson's connections. But what seemed like a golden opportunity quickly became complicated. As part of her launch, Barry paired her with one of his clients, a then-rising producer named R. Kelly. What followed was a collaboration that would shape Aaliyah's debut album and shadow her personal life for years to come. In 1994, Aaliyah released her debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, when she was just 15. The album was slick, mysterious, and undeniably mature for a teenager. Her vocals floated over R. Kelly's heavy, streetwise production, and the public was instantly captivated. Songs like Back and Forth and At Your Best, You Are Love put her on the map, a sweet-voiced prodigy with street cred and style. But behind the music, troubling questions started to surface. Whispers about her relationship with R. Kelly turned into headlines. Then came the bombshell. A marriage certificate leaked, stating that the two had secretly wed, with Aaliyah listed as 18 when in fact she was still just 15. The scandal exploded. Aaliyah's team quickly denied it. The marriage was reportedly annulled. And just like that, the rising star who had just found her voice was suddenly forced to protect it. She never spoke about R. Kelly publicly again. While most teenagers were still figuring out who they were, Aaliyah was learning how to survive in an industry that often devoured its own. She was navigating betrayal, media intrusion, and adult-sized pressure, all while still in high school. Her relationship with Jive Records soured, but instead of falling apart, Aaliyah made a decision that would change everything. She walked away from that chapter of her life. And in doing so, she set the stage for an extraordinary rebirth. Because while age ain't nothing but a number introduced Aaliyah to the world, it would be her next move that made the world truly see her. The fallout from Aaliyah's relationship with R. Kelly could have ended her career before it truly began. The industry was watching, the media was buzzing, and behind the scenes, a teenager was left to pick up the pieces of a scandal she never asked for. But here's the part that still amazes fans to this day. Aaliyah didn't retreat. She reimagined. After leaving Jive Records, she signed with Atlantic and began working with two then-unknowns from Virginia, a futuristic producer named Timbaland and a wildly inventive writer or rapper named Missy Elliott. The chemistry was instant. The sound? Unlike anything anyone had ever heard in R&B. What they created together wasn't just a comeback. It was a reinvention. In 1996, Aaliyah released her second album, One in a Million, and with it, she shattered every expectation.
Your love is a one in a million. It goes on and on.
The beats were glitched and stuttered, the melodies sleek and haunting. Her voice floated like vapor over Timbaland's syncopated rhythms. The title track, along with hits like If Your Girl Only Knew,
If your girl only knew that you was missing her.
4-page letter,
I'm sending him a 4-page letter, and I enclose.
and Hot Like Fire weren't just songs, they were statements.
I'm gonna take.
Aaliyah had arrived, fully formed, with a sound and style all her own. But even as the music world praised her artistry, rumors still lingered. Some fans speculated that she had been blacklisted from certain media outlets due to the R. Kelly scandal. Others whispered about internal industry battles between her team and powerful executives. Yet, through it all, Aaliyah kept her head down and her art forward. She didn't respond with interviews. She responded with evolution. Her signature look, sleek hair over one eye, low-slung pants, tomboy swagger mixed with sensual mystery, was no longer just fashion. It was armor. And behind it was a young woman who had learned how to protect her peace in a world that tried to steal it. The shy teenager with the weight of controversy on her shoulders had grown into a silent storm, soft-spoken, unbothered, and absolutely unstoppable. By the end of the 90s, Aaliyah had done more than just distance herself from controversy. She had turned the page with quiet power. The whispers about her past were still there, sure, the annulled marriage, the industry politics, the labels who didn't know what to do with a girl who played by her own rules. But Aaliyah wasn't interested in setting the record straight through tabloids. She did it through music. In 1996, One in a Million had laid the foundation, an otherworldly mix of R&B and digital funk, courtesy of a young Timbaland and Missy Elliott. But what came next would seal her legacy. It was the year 2000 when Aaliyah took a leap, not just into the music scene, but into Hollywood. She starred in Romeo Must Die alongside action legend Jet Li And though it was her first film, she delivered a performance so natural, so magnetic, that rumors swirled almost immediately. Was she already being eyed for the next Matrix sequel? Was she about to become the next big crossover star? Behind the scenes, producers were stunned by her work ethic. She was soft-spoken off camera, but on set, a force. But what truly set the culture ablaze was the soundtrack. The lead single, Try Again, didn't just top charts. It made history. It became the first song ever to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, based solely on radio play. The beat? A stuttering, futuristic rhythm that sounded like nothing else on the airwaves. The lyrics? A cool, confident mantra. If at first you don't succeed,
At first you don't succeed. You can dust it off and try again.
and that video, Aaliyah, dressed in sleek leather, gliding under pulsing lights, moving like silk in a steel world, it was iconic. Suddenly, every teenager wanted tinted sunglasses, low-rise pants, and that signature side-swept hair. But behind the polish, Aaliyah was burning the candle at both ends. While promoting the movie, she was also recording her third studio album, often flying between continents and juggling film shoots by day and studio sessions by night. Some insiders wondered how she kept it all together. Friends described her as tired but focused, driven by something deeper than fame. That drive manifested in Aaliyah, her self-titled final album released in July 2001. This wasn't the same Aaliyah from Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. This was a woman in full control of her voice, her image, her art. The album pulsed with shadowy textures, subtle confidence, and emotional depth. Tracks like We Need a Resolution and More Than a Woman showcased her maturity, while Rock the Boat was smooth, hypnotic, a quiet storm wrapped in melody. By the summer of 2001, Aaliyah wasn't just famous, she was untouchable. The world had watched her grow from a mysterious teen prodigy into a woman who redefined what it meant to be both soft and powerful. And just as she hit her creative peak, fans couldn't get enough. Everywhere you looked, from red carpets to teen bedroom walls, Aaliyah was the standard. She wasn't loud, she didn't need to be. Her presence was magnetic, her aura untouchable. With her effortless fusion of streetwear and elegance, she gave the world a new kind of fashion icon, tomboy cool with divine femininity. Girls copied her style, guys admired her mystique, and fellow artists paid attention. People said Aaliyah didn't chase trends, trends chased her. On stage, she moved like liquid silk. In interviews, she stayed composed, thoughtful, always choosing her words with care. Fans respected that about her, the way she let her music speak louder than the gossip. But even as she glowed in the spotlight, rumors swirled beneath the surface. Some said she was being quietly courted by the biggest names in film. Others claimed she was offered a role in The Matrix Reloaded before her life was cut short, a claim later confirmed by casting directors who revealed she had already filmed a few scenes. There were whispers of secret collaborations in the works, possibly with Outkast or Pharrell. No one really knew. Aaliyah kept her plans close. What everyone did know was that she had become a cultural force. She wasn't just a singer. She wasn't just an actress. She was a blueprint. Her influence ran deep, from Beyoncé's early vocals to Rihanna's edgy aesthetics, from Kiara's dance-driven music to the quiet storm sound of alternative R&B artists today. Even artists like Drake and The Weeknd have cited her as an inspiration, with Drake once calling her the first artist that ever made me fall in love with music. And her fan base? Loyal, passionate, global. When Aaliyah the album dropped, it wasn't just a hit. It was a celebration. Fans lined up outside record stores, posters flew off the shelves, MTV ran hour-long specials, magazines rushed to crown her the next big thing, even though to her fans she already was. What made Aaliyah special wasn't just the music or the movies or the style. It was the emotion behind it all. She connected without overexposing. She made you feel seen without saying much at all. Her art was a mirror, cool, graceful, and quietly powerful. And just as the world was beginning to understand the full weight of her talent, everything changed. But the legacy, that was already cemented. Critics hailed the project as a masterpiece. It felt like Aaliyah had found her true self, and fans agreed. The album debuted at number 2 and quickly became one of the most talked-about records of the year. But some in the industry speculated about delays and internal debates. There were rumors of disagreements with the label over which singles to push, or whether she should focus more on film. And some fans wondered, was Aaliyah spread too thin? Was she being pulled in too many directions? What no one knew was that her final music video, filmed in the Bahamas for Rock the Boat, would become the last footage the world would ever see of her.
I want you to rock the way.
And just like that, the girl who had spent years defying gravity, artistically, emotionally, even spiritually, had unknowingly completed her final chapter. But what she left behind? That was more than music. It was a movement. Despite her fame, Aaliyah remained a mystery to many, a guarded soul in an industry that demanded exposure. She was beloved, yet elusive, a superstar, yet somehow still the girl next door. And maybe that's why fans connected with her so deeply. She gave them beauty, style, and sound, but never too much, never more than she was ready to share. But even legends have hearts, and behind the music and the headlines, Aaliyah was living a life, one filled with dreams, fears, love, and secrets. By the early 2000s, the rumors began swirling about her relationship with Damon Dash, the co-founder of Rockefeller Records. The two were often seen together, private but affectionate. Damon would later confirm they were deeply in love and had even talked about marriage. He described her as the one, smart, spiritual, loyal, not just a partner, but his best friend. In a world that often took from her, Damon said, Aaliyah was learning to love freely again. But she had also learned caution. After everything she'd endured in the public eye, especially in her early years, Aaliyah was intensely private about her romantic life. She didn't post cryptic messages or play into the headlines. Instead, she protected her peace. She moved in silence, even when the world begged for noise. Still, those close to her say she wanted it all, not just love, but a family of her own. She talked about raising kids, about stepping into more mature acting roles, even about starting her own fashion line. There was a quiet excitement building in her, like she knew her next chapter would be her most powerful one. But some say Aaliyah had sensed something strange before her final trip. Just days before flying to the Bahamas to shoot the Rock the Boat music video, she reportedly told friends she had a bad feeling. One crew member even claimed she was uneasy about the plane. The aircraft, as it turned out, was overloaded, and there were whispers that she was reluctant to board it. Whether she was pressured or simply reassured, no one knows for sure. What we do know is this: Aaliyah was poised for a new beginning, personally, artistically, spiritually, and just as the world leaned in to witness her next move, she was gone.